going on, guys? Everybody having a good day? You got Austin on here tonight. Can you hear me okay, Austin?
Hmm?
Good.
Yep, you're good.
I just want to make sure you can hear me. So let me tell you a little about my week. I know we've been talking for a couple minutes, but I have, I know the heat has a lot to do with it and recaps and all that BS, but I am on, see, I'm trying to remember how many. I've had 5 tire blowouts in the last 3 weeks. 5. 2 of them on the tractor and the other 3 on trailers. I had one yesterday. It never fails when you get a good weekend, and then this guy is going to hit that truck, man. He is close, but man, I tell you what, that trailer tire yesterday, believe it or not, they had it changed and everything within a couple hours, which was really good. But I was in Tampa, believe it or not, out of all places, but it was pretty quick. But I was already, because I delivered early this morning, I was already in like a 7-hour sleeper burst, so it just made sense to wait another 3 hours before I took off, and that's kind of what I did. I've been running on the recaps all this week too, so I collect tires at midnight. So I had about 3 hours left, and so I pulled out about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and rode on last night. But man, it's just one thing after another, and the drives. I've got 5 left to replace, buddy. I'm up to 3 that's been replaced. So I got 5.
It was always amazing how well my dad was in trailer sales before I was even in sales, and he would always say, like, down in the heat, everybody hated recaps, hated them. Yep. And usually if you get a good one, like if you get good, like people do it the right way, heat really shouldn't affect it that bad. But I know if people do it like the wrong way, or they don't make sure the threads and everything match up and everything else, it can get a little hairy.
Yeah, it's been crazy. And then yesterday with the trailer tire, and I have no idea how long I drove with that, but somewhere between where was I at? Not Ocala, but I was in northern Florida, Alachua. I'm sorry. I was in Alachua, left the Walmart, picked up that trailer. When I picked up that trailer, the tire was fine. I did my normal pre-trip, and somewhere between Alachua and Tampa, and I backed into the door yesterday to get loaded. I'm like, this damn tire's, off the rim. And I looked at it, and the recap came off completely and off the rim. And I'm like, oh, how the hell did I not notice that? Well, it wasn't flat when I picked the trailer up, but when I loaded up, I just went ahead, continued, let them load the trailer, and then like I said, I finished the sleeper berth, the 10-hour break, and had the tire people come out, and I slept through the whole thing while they were changing it. So
the nice thing about the trailers is it's a little less. I would say it's probably a little less complicated.
Yeah.
And the benefit, that's one of the huge benefits of not having super singles. Like if you have like the duals, even if you pop that one, you can still drive on. You can still limp with this one to wherever you got to go. Super singles is you don't want to do. You can't do anything because it's going to tear up your rim, and it's going to be way more expensive. So
yeah, I'm not a big fan of super singles. There's a lot of guys on here that'll fight you about this and that. And I don't care either way, but I like the idea of having duals just for that reason. What you said, you can still try to. There's been a couple times, believe it or not, I don't really like to admit this, but I'm not the kind of guy that likes to sit on the side of the road and wait for the tire people to come and change it. I try to get it to the truck stop or get it to the nearest, off ramp or something like that, because I'm not going to put myself or the tire changer in any kind of harm. These drivers out here, I mean, again, I've talked about this many a times. The drivers have gotten worse in the last 4 or 5 years, dude, and it's sad because they just don't care about anybody, nothing. And it's not just the four-wheelers; it's the truck drivers, the breed of truck drivers that are coming in. They just do not care. They don't, they don't know what the move over law is or anything. And I see that all the time. I think that the move over law should be for any vehicle on the side of the road, not just emergency vehicles, but any vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a lot safer that way.
Yes, it is. So we got William Hartman in here. What's up, William? Glad you made it.
What's up, man?
Glad you made it out. So how was your week, man? Everything good?
It was good. Obviously had the on Monday. Had to fly out on Sunday back to Ohio for my grandfather's funeral, which was obviously not something that you want to go home and see your family for and everything, but obviously not something I really was ever going to miss either. So obviously wanted to wish that I was going back under better circumstances, but overall, service was good. It was good spending time with family and kind of the time of some hurting and everything, and getting back on Tuesday. Didn't get a ton of sleep the next night, so trying to sleep on an airplane for me is usually never good. So it was a little rough Tuesday. I was real tired. My body just said, "No, you're going to sleep. Like you're going to bed." On Tuesday night. So, but getting back into kind of the swing of things. Work has been a welcome distraction for all of the obviously the rough go that was towards the end of last week. So,
gotcha. I had a question. I'm sorry about your grandfather too.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That was bad. But question, I had a question, and it's funny because I never really thought about it. I think it was Steve that asked me this last week, and I never really thought about it. I meant to ask you that, and then the deal with your grandfather came up. But if a guy wants to come and buy a truck over there, and he's hooked to a trailer, he just wants to come and look. Y'all have room for a guy to come over and take a look with trailer and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's room to turn around and everything in there?
Yeah, sometimes you got to be a little creative with it. We try to keep everything clear.
Okay.
But like if you pull in that back, like when you came, like the back of the building, like from like where it was like level and then backwards,
right.
There's enough to where you can kind of maneuver yourself around, and there's enough space. You just got to be sometimes a little creative because we got some trucks moving around in there. But usually we try and keep that back area clear for whatever reason. So
right. How far is the dealership from Harney Road? Do you know where Harney Road is?
Yeah, it's probably 5-10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say
maybe less than
far.
10.
I found this route that I've done 3 times now that comes out of Tampa, and it's really nice to have stuff come out of Florida, especially the Tampa area. Mm-hmm. It's a beer distributor, and it's just empty beer cans. It's literally 7,000 pounds of empty beer cans that take up Virginia, and obviously it doesn't have the top of the beer can. They just fill them and then put the top on it after it's filled. That's how they fill the beer cans. But
right.
It's interesting how it does it. But I got I don't know how many cans are in there, but it's only 7,000 pounds. And next time I come through, I'm going to come visit and see what's going
absolutely.
on. Yes,
absolutely.
I just didn't know the answer to that.
What company is it that the loads are going through?
That's a good question.
Is it J.J. Taylor?
No, it's not. It's not that kind of beer. This is a place that makes the cans. They actually make the cans. I'll tell you here. It is. Where is it at? It is Tampa Commerce Building. What it says. That's weird. I wonder what the name of the company is. It's surprisingly it's not in here.
Tampa Commerce Building.
Hang on, I'm going to tell you what the name of it is. It is on here. Yeah, that's the name of the company, Tampa Commerce.
Like Tampa Commerce, like building or whatever.
Yeah, it's on Harney Road. Anyway, that's the place that I go to, and it's a pretty decent. Pretty decent.
Are they probably? It's probably some.
Rusty Pull Tab says, "Can you guys gross to 8-10 G's a week over there? Ever? Now, that would be. I mean, you would have to do 7,000 miles to gross that kind of money. But Rusty Pull Tab, what we have that other companies don't have, we don't have a lot of expenses through the week. And with me owning the truck, I literally pay $17 for the ELD. I pay $8 for the tow pass, and that way all the tolls are paid. And there's a $50 escrow. So I pay $75 a week in expenses. They pay for the plates. They pay for the permits. Everything's paid for here. So I don't need to gross 8 or 10 grand a week. And that would be literally impossible unless you're running a team. And even running as a team, that might be a little bit on the high end.
DOT might come after you a little bit. They may want to talk to you. Is it
I
Ball
don't think.
Corporation? Is it Ball Corporation over there in Tampa Commerce?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Ball.
Yeah.
But they, with this, I mean, Swift's never going to let you run that kind of stuff. Even as a team, that's kind of a stretch. Like I said, guys, I mean, you're not going to get rich over here. If I told you that you can make that kind of money over here, I'd be lying to you, and I'm not going to say that or do that. But he asked here too. What's realistic running solid 5-7 load, buddy? Running 5 to 7 loads is really going to be hard to do the way time is. I mean, you're lucky to run 3 to 4, maybe 5, but it's not about running the loads, guys. I mean, over here you run by the mile. You pick a load that's between 4 and 800 miles, and 800 miles is I mean, there are some 1,000-mile loads, but I mean, it's very rare. Trying to think. My next load is right at 1,000 miles, and I'm picking up in Pennsylvania. It's going all the way to Minnesota, right on the edge of Wisconsin Minnesota line. That one's 1,000 miles, but those loads are rare. I mean, anywhere you go to in most companies, unless you're running straight spot market, running 1,000 miles plus is not usually feasible anymore. They just don't let you do it. You don't need to work over here as hard as you do at other companies.
5 to 7 loads is a lot.
Yeah, that's
a week is a lot. Yeah, 5 to 7.
Yeah, if you want to try to run something local, like in the Atlanta area or Houston, Dallas, or one of the bigger cities, and you're running 200-300 mile loads, can you make it? I mean, I don't know anybody that does that, because the problem is with running a mileage base, you're not getting the miles. If you run it as a spot market deal, you could probably do really well. When they go to the 70%, that might be a doable thing to run low miles and just run in a local area. But to me, that's almost what you're trying to ask, Rusty Pool Tap. But I don't know if that will work or not at Swift. Not saying that it can or won't. I'm sure there's guys out there that are doing it, but that's not my cup of tea. So here we go. 3,100, 6 days doing that as company driver. So just saying, to get idea, they run as tight 500 a day. Yes and no. I don't run that hard. Can you do it? You probably could. I've never hit 3,000 miles since I've been at Swift. I might have hit it one time, the first go around or the second go around, but hitting 3,000 miles is rare. And quite frankly, I don't want to work that hard. That's why I'm here. I want to make as much money as I possibly can, and running 2,500 to 2,600 miles a week, puts me, bring home somewhere close to, $2,700 to $3,100, depending on fuel and everything else, and that's kind of my sweet spot. Not that I don't want to make more money, but it's just it's difficult. Even with your own truck, it's difficult to make over $3,000 here.
Well, the amount of effort, it would take, it's like you get to a point where it's diminishing returns.
So I know a lot of guys, they get on here and again, you're not going to get rich, but my goal is to take home to me somewhere right around $1 a mile. That's to me after all bills are paid and everything, and I'm consistently doing that. Now, if you lease a truck here, then obviously it's going to be a little bit less than that. But if you own your truck, you're going to be somewhere between $1, $1.10 a mile. And as long as I'm in that area with all my expenses paid, fuel and everything, I'm happy with it. So with the fuel surcharge and everything, that's about where it puts you. Anybody got any questions for Austin? I got
answers. I got answers.
I just put another one of our drivers in a truck, and I know he's going to be happy.
Shout out to Big Steve, SJB Truck.
You got another guy you're working on that I referred over there, Mr. Al. Hopefully he's situated.
Yeah.
Guys, this will put. How many guys does this put that we put into trucks now? You know offhand? About 7 or 8, isn't it? Maybe 9.
7 or 8. 1 or 2. I gotta look.
Yeah, that's just been in the last 2.5 months or so.
Since April.
April, okay.
Yeah, April.
Well, James was the first one. I got him in the truck before I even came back. He was really the first one.
James, you're talking about James Smith?
James Harris. Oh, I forgot about James Smith. Yeah.
There's James Smith. I think James Smith was the true first one.
Okay.
And then we had Jeff Smart. And then we had James Harris. We had Jose Alejandro.
Yep.
And then we got Steve. We got.
Who are we forgetting? I mean, I know we got like 7 or 8. You can't even remember either. I can't remember what I did yesterday.
I gotta look through my notes. There was
It's all good.
It was slow, and I didn't sell a truck for 2 months, so it was just kind of like all kinds of stuff going on. So,
speaking of which, and that's kind of what I wanted to start with here in a roundabout way. When we get the show together. Everybody, and you're down to the boots on the ground. You're in the sales part of it. Everybody, all these different YouTubers and YouTube channels, they always want to talk their shit and talk about the truck market. They want to talk about, the driver shortage, which is bullshit. It just depends on, it's just like anything that's going on in the media right now. Everybody always has their take. How is the truck sales going right now? What do you see?
So I can't necessarily speak for other parts of the country.
Right.
What's going on, Techno?
Techno is James Harris, by the way.
Oh, hey, what's going on, man? I can't really speak for other parts of the country. I mean, I know markets like Columbus, Indianapolis, Atlanta, Charlotte, like those markets usually are pretty strong. I know that they're seeing kind of definitely a downturn kind of demand. I know in the Florida market, I mean, in the last, I think 3 months, we've had CNS wholesale grocers, which they are a huge logistical grocer arm of like a couple of different grocery store chains. They ceased operations in Florida after about 90 some years. Maybe not 90, but they've been there for a while. They had a big terminal in Plant City. That's done. So that's 300 trucks into the market from them. You've got the one up in Jacksonville. They're done. So that was another 400 day cabs. And we actually have one of the day cabs on our lot for sale. Really nice truck. But the two bigger ones, the bigger names. So for any of you Floridians, Davis Express, who has operated in Florida for
they're like 70 years or something, aren't they?
It's at least 45, whatever it is. They've been in Florida for 45 years. He didn't go to bankruptcy. Like he was still solvent as a company, but he basically just said, "I give up."
Yeah, and the family didn't want to continue on operations.
He didn't want the family to have to take it over,
right?
Because he's like, I built this from the ground up, and he basically said, it's like Russian roulette, going out and figuring out whether it's going to be insurance, DOT, the load sucks, other drivers. He goes, I haven't made money since 2023. I'm not going bankrupt. I'm out. And then most recently, finally, I guess, I'm not finally as in finally I was hoping this would happen, but they've been kind of running on kind of fumes for a while. Carol Fulmer,
right,
is done. Carol Fulmer is a 1,700 trailer. Exactly. Sweet. And like I said, that's exactly what I was getting at. Sweet and Faith Trucking TV. I mean, 70 years, and most of them in Groveland.
Right.
Done. 400 trucks, 1,700 trailers.
Well, see, I heard 600. I don't know which one's right. I've heard 400 and 600.
It's at least 400. I know they said 400. I think they said 400 in Florida. In other locations, that may have been the other two. But 1,700 trailers done. And so, you've got, the market is just not where it needs. There's just this freight recession. Right. When COVID hit, everybody still needed to buy trucks. Everybody still needed to buy trailers. So COVID, because stuff was shut down, because it was so intense, and because stuff was in short supply, there was that big boom. Well, now this is like the exact opposite, where there's just this recession where like freight sucks. I got an Amazon guy I sold a couple of trucks to. Amazon pays him $1.80, or it pays him $1.87 a mile. Well, his cost per mile is $1.90.
That's crazy.
So he's losing 3 cents a mile, and everybody's like, "Well, 3 cents a mile, how big a deal is that across 6 or 7 trucks going several thousand miles? You're losing that kind of money. Yeah, that sucks. That's not good. And the problem we've always seen with
can't operate in the red like that.
No.
Silly.
But the only thing that saves him is he's got a couple of box trucks that make money, and that's the only thing that's keeping him, without, except for being like in really, really, really bad shape. The other problem you run into with Florida is just it's a different market. You've got a lot of freight going out of Florida, but not a lot of freight going in. And a big thing,
it's the other way around. A lot of freight coming in, but not
coming in, but not going out. So, you've got citrus used to be a big thing coming in and out of Florida, but the citrus market's been down for a while. So that makes our job down here in Florida, because everybody's got a different mix. So in other locations, you're going to have a lot of corporate business, and you're going to have a lot of owner operators like yourself. Down here in Florida, you don't have, like, the mix is like the reverse. So I would say probably owner operators are probably about 45-ish% of our business. And unless you've got dedicated work, like you and Steve and James and they've all got dedicated work, so they can make this, financing a truck, they can make all of that work. They can, if you're doing just regular load board stuff, which you used to be able to do because everybody's making money hand over fist, you can't do that anymore because nobody's paying anything. Unless you're running, like the one guy was saying, a crap ton of miles a week, and that's not good for anybody's health, right? That's not good for anybody's well-being. So you've got, and then obviously the 60% that we deal with on a corporate level, the 60% didn't get to the level of where they can buy trucks by buying trucks when they weren't supposed to. My biggest customer, the one that I've talked about on here before, he was going to come buy a group of trucks for me, and he all of a sudden he's realizing the stock market's not where it was supposed to be. Now it is, but now they're running, they're only running a handful of units just because that's all they need, and just because everything's down. They were going to come buy a big group, and they could. They're one of the ones that can walk in and finance whatever they want for however long the term they want, this, that, and the other thing. But they're just like, no, it's not smart to buy right now. So you've got a lot of these businesses that normally would go buy trucks, but they're sitting there going, So it hurts. It hurts.
I got a couple things to add to that too, and it looks like this guy was asking about the miles and stuff. Even when the economy turns around, and I don't think I'm ever going back to the spot market. I don't like dealing with it. People can control me. People control me all they want to. I like just having the steady freight and making the steady money and knowing that it's there. I make plenty of money doing this. And one of the things that I really want to talk about is this load board. Let me try and make us bigger. That's just bothering me how we're not bigger.
There we go.
The load board. It's not fantastic by any means, but it's getting there. I'm almost to the point now to where they're populating the load board more and more every week. And I've almost got it down now to where I've got me a little triangle that I've almost worked out. Like I said, I've got that load in Tampa now. That gets me down, find a load that gets to Florida. And like I said, I found that load that went to Alachua and then got down to Tampa, literally 2 hours away. And not a lot of deadhead, 120-mile deadhead, which really isn't that bad. And up to Virginia, and then Virginia up to York, Pennsylvania. That's another hour and a half away. And, I just got to find something coming out of Minnesota, which I will. It's all coming. It's all coming to play. Even if the planners have to give you something, it's all coming to play. Hey, Pedro, what's going on, buddy? How are you? Now, he's another one that bought a truck, isn't he, Pedro?
Mm-mm. No, not for me.
Not from you. I thought that he was part of them. Welcome back home, cheesecake. Yes, another 15,000 because still a lot of unqualified drivers need to be taken out. Service takes time. Speaking of which, one of the people that I watch, I don't remember if it was Cash's King or if it was Miranda. One of them was, I think it was Miranda. Now that I think about it, she's Trucking Made Successful. If you get a chance, Austin, check her out. Trucking Made Successful. She puts out a lot of good truck market videos. I don't know, 2 or 3 times a week. She went over how many drivers have been put out of service throughout the states. What state do you think has the most out of services so far? This is going to blow your freaking mind. What state? You would think Arkansas or Texas or Florida or something like that. Those 3 states are at the bottom, believe it or not. Yeah.
I'm gonna say maybe Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, maybe. I could be wrong.
Wyoming is number 1. They have put, I forget the number, but it was way up there. I couldn't believe it when she said that. That's crazy.
Going back to your thing, your thing about dedicated, spot. I'm not going back to the spot market. Here's the thing: when you come buy a truck from me and you want to finance it, the spot market is not. The banks are going to sit there and look at the spot market and go,
"Really? I didn't know that was even a factor."
So one of the biggest factors for a lot of guys when they come finance, the biggest one is your load source. That's a huge one. Because they want to make sure the banks want to make sure if they're loaning out this money,
it makes sense. I never thought of it like that.
Because back in 2008, when interest rates weren't so sky high on these, right? So you could still get a decent enough rate, but they didn't necessarily were concerned about it. But all of a sudden, 2008 hit, right? Everybody paid their car because they want to be able to drive their car. And they're like, okay, well, we got to make sure we pay this. Well, they want some place to live, so they got to pay their house. And they're like, okay, cool. Well, our kids got to eat and everything. Okay, fine, we got to pay for our groceries. Our truck, that's not making money. And so everybody just parked their truck and ate the repo. So, and a lot of that was like spot market stuff. So now, the banks look at it now. If you've got dedicated work from Swift, if you've got dedicated work from Schneider, if you've got dedicated work from companies like Trans Am, Prime, whatever. You're still gonna be in good shape, but and the reason being is, okay, this truck is being leased onto this company and they're gonna pay him X amount. We know, reasonably certain, as long as the driver, the customer is doing what they're supposed to do as far as the bank's concerned, they're gonna get their money back, at least for the most part. Not a guarantee, but people also gotta think about this from a financing perspective. First time buyers in trucks, 48% of them, I think statistically, end up in a repo.
Really? Wow.
It's something like that. So, that's why the bank's going to sit there and go, okay, he's got dedicated work. He doesn't. He looks better. Now, obviously, if you're doing load board stuff and you have an 850 credit score, okay, well, that's a different situation. But, if you've got some challenges with your credit, but you have a dedicated load source, that's going to help you because they look at several different things, a handful of different things. So,
gotcha. I was going to say, I get calls, and again, doing this YouTube is really a work, and I know you guys, you all call me all the time. I literally, 3 to 8 phone calls a day, just people, wanting to come over or wanting to get trucks or asking about, the fuel card or insurance. Insurance is the big thing right now. I'm getting a lot of business for SeBrite insurance because nobody can beat their price, especially if you're running with Swift. But I just want you guys to know that I'm only one guy doing this, and I get calls and texts, and I try to answer all the comments in the YouTube. But I'm only one guy, and I'm trying my hardest to answer everybody. So if for some reason I miss something, guys, just keep trying to call me or text me. The best way to get a hold of me is to text me, and then I'll call you back. I do a lot of nighttime driving. I've never said that out here. Believe it or not, this is actually turning into something really, really good with the calls that I'm taking. I'm splitting this business up with a lot of guys like you, Austin, to get things done, and I'm helping these guys out. Like we talked about at the very beginning, I try to be as straight and honest. I've had 2 guys give me messages in the last couple of days, and I don't want to bring anybody's names up, asking me, is it good over there? What's going on over there? And I tell them everything. I say, hey guys, give me a phone call. I'll give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll tell you everything about it. There's not a lot of ugly with it, but there are some ugly things that I don't like here. But 95% of it's not bad. There's only a few things that you got to work around. And, the insurance is one of the big things, is a workaround, because once you get your own outside insurance, you don't have to have the stupid camera. And again, I'm not against the camera, but when the company comes in and starts, what's it called? Micromanaging you on the camera. Hey, you're driving too fast, or hey, you're tailgating too much. Especially with a guy that's got 20 plus years of driving, which I do. Nobody needs to tell me how to drive. I've never had an accident that was ever my fault. And knock on wood, plastic, whatever I can. I'm a safe driver, and they don't need to preach about it. They don't need to preach because almost always, if I'm ever involved in anything, it's going to be the other person. But anyway, I just wanted to get that out. I'm only one guy, so if you guys try to get a hold of me, just do your best. Go ahead. You got
a you've got a really unique situation too with SeBrite, and I've gotten a couple of guys through with SeBrite Insurance, James Harris being one of them, and most recently Steve. The thing that SeBrite does really, really well, it's almost like their main focus is like guys who are financing their truck. So you basically tell them what's supposed to be listed on there, the coverages that you need, this, that, and the other thing. And it's usually right the first time. Because the biggest thing for us on the sales side is, okay, insurance agent will write up the form, you send it over, and it's like, wait a minute, it's listed. Because the bank will not fund your loan until the insurance is 100% right. And, I'm kind of like, I'm of the mindset of like, but at the same time, the bank's footing the bill for most of the trucks, so they're not going to send the money over until everything is 100% right. SeBrite has done. I haven't had any issues with them. Both deals that I've done recently, they've sent the insurance request form for the bank over. It was right the first time, and the banks and SeBrite usually they'll send it straight to the bank, so it makes it incredibly easy. Like, okay, yeah, we know exactly how this should go. Done. It's easy. So getting a good insurance company like SeBrite or somebody else, it's really, really beneficial, especially if you've been with them for a while. It's good.
Sure. So. You know my background too, being in car sales, and then I did a little finance for a while too. I know how important it is to have the insurance, because the wheels don't turn until you have the insurance. And SeBrite has been nothing but good, and everybody that I've sent over there, they wrote the policy before they've taken any money at all.
Yeah.
And they'll let you ride on it, for a couple of weeks
quick
until you get going and stuff. Yeah.
They're quick.
SeBrite's awesome. Let me read some of these comments. Get caught up. If the cost is over $1.90 a mile, he's paying too much for the truck. Geez, you don't buy a brand new truck if you're going to pull Amazon trash.
Here's the guy I'm talking about. He did not buy a new truck, but he bought a truck during COVID, so pricing was very high.
Yeah.
So he did he has quite a bit of a truck payment, only because of the fact that his trucks, the loan for his trucks and everything else, can be a little challenging. So he was one of the ones where it was like COVID pricing, everything was still really, really sky high. So it just was what it was. It wasn't anything I did. He negotiated a good deal on it. I get paid the same no matter what truck I sell you. So it has no bearing as far as what's going on there. But yes, his cost is high per mile. That's because his truck payment is high. So
gotcha. Justin Burgers, what's going on, buddy? How are you? There's another comment on that. $1.90 a mile. Well, he's probably begging money at the truck stops. And it's funny. I've talked about that before too. When you see a guy at a truck stop and he's got 2 hot dogs loaded up with mustard and ketchup and relish and all kinds of stuff, then he's got his, free soda. Then it's unfortunate, but you know that he's, a lot of these company drivers, man, they're using their points to buy this stuff. And it's always the truck driver that takes the hit, whether it's the owner operator or the well, not so much the owner operator, but more the company guys, where you're seeing that more and more often, every day. And for me, you know, what see, and I'm saying this real loosely because I really do love to drive a truck. I do love the business. What I don't love is the way truck drivers are treated. You go into some states, they don't want you to freaking idle. There's no parking. You go into the shippers and receivers, they treat you like trash. But you still have to keep somewhat of a positive attitude, and I do. If I could find me a job that paid me the amount of money that I'm making somewhere else and possibly even stay home, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But there really isn't anything out there that can pay you. You know, some of you guys, include me, some of us make more money than what a doctor or a lawyer makes. If you really sit down and do the numbers, and why would you leave that? In a sense, if unless you had something to back it up with. But there's a lot of unfortunate things going on.
And the unfortunate thing is, and again, this is not me trying to trash. I'm not trying to trash leasing a truck from a company driver. To get started, that's what I always recommend. Yeah. Only because that's what's going to give you. Because a lot of banks want to see at least 2 years of driving experience.
Right.
So if you go for 2 years with a Schneider, a Swift, a Prime, a Hirschbach, whoever,
well, that helps.
It helps. But after a while, a lease payment, especially like those ones you're telling me about from Schneider, that's a lot of money per week. That's a lot. So you've got when you're in a freight recession down here like this, but your lease payments like this, it's not a good feeling to be in. And it's not necessarily the company kind of kicking you in the face, but at the same time, it kind of is, because they're the one leasing you the truck. So it's just it's a giant battle that everybody does, and it sucks because you see some people. D is a prime example. They were charging him like $1,700 a week, and when I got him into his truck, I was saving him. His monthly truck expense went from $1,700. $1,700 multiplied by 4. That's a lot.
Right.
Meanwhile, he's got a monthly payment of $1,100.
Over $6,000.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's got a monthly payment of $1,100.
Well, that's like mine, for instance. I was $6,400 a month is what I was paying just for the truck. Now, with the truck and the insurance, I'm paying $1,250 a month. So, and the insurance was over $1,000 a month. So I was at $7,400, really, if you think about it. But that's how much you can save.
A monthly payment is a monthly payment from financing a truck. Well, and if you can come buy a truck cash, obviously that's good too. But if you come finance a truck, a monthly payment is way more manageable than.
Sure.
Steve was telling me today. He's got a $1,200, $1,300 a month truck payment a month. Meanwhile, what Swift, like when you lease, it's like $700-800 a week.
$700 a week, yeah. That's the most expensive one, is $700, yeah.
So literally, you're right there. You've cut your trucking expenses literally in half.
Yeah. And when I first talked to these guys, and I'll get to these comments here in a second, but when I first, like I said, these people. I say these people, but people call me on a daily basis. Is Swift really worth it? Is it really worth it? And I tell them, I said, your best option, if you got $5,000 to $8,000 to put down, I can almost guarantee you that as long as your credit's somewhat decent, we can almost get you into a truck of your own, give or take. Now, granted, you might have to have a little bit more, but just depends on your situation. Buy your truck instead of leasing it from the company. And I didn't want to. I got my friend Michelle with Swift. I bring her on occasions too to help her lease trucks. But I did find out that it didn't. I try to bring all these people on because I don't want to interfere with anybody else's, little deal. So she doesn't interfere with her if I sell a truck through you and then bring it on to Swift. Matter of fact, she says she likes it better because there's less complications because Swift is not really liable for, their liability is a lot less, and they actually like to bring people on. They would like to bring more people on rather than to lease the trucks, which really surprised me. But if you think about it, it's kind of a common sense comment, and I never really thought of it that way. But I try to tell everybody, some of these guys have to, some of these leases, they have to put money down. Schneider. I mean, you still got to put money down. For what I understand, their payments or their down payments have went up again because they're projecting that the future is going to be bright. I don't see the future turning around. And me and the wife was talking about this the other day. When inflation goes up, which is what happens, okay? Inflation's went up. Inflation doesn't go back down. So with the economy, they got to figure out a way to bring people's pay up because that's the only way anything is ever going to change. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how that's going to work, but inflation doesn't go down. And if it does, it's very minimal. It's not going to be significant how it has went up.
The good news, the good news on the horizon, I'm not going to get into a crazy in-depth thing about politics here, but this new trade deal with the European Union that the United States just agreed to. So, I was reading up on that. So you've got the United Kingdom investing $750 million straight in petroleum, which is obviously a good thing, right? Which hopefully would make the cost of fuel go down, and getting a fuel efficient truck from a used truck that's in good condition, it's good on fuel mileage, that helps obviously because it's more fuel back in your pocket. You can attest to this. But you got the UK also. It's another 600 billion in United States, assets and stuff like that. But what's the nice thing about this is the deal, at least what I was reading about it. You've got a lot of raw material type lanes, like supply chains, where no tariffs, no inflation, no nothing. They basically kept the pricing in place or brought it down a little bit. Right. So you're not going to be subject to that, which helps, which does help. Another way, insurance has gotten awfully expensive. The cheaper you can make it, from an owner operator perspective, your fuel, your insurance, if both of those things go down, obviously it's a big thing. So if they can figure out a way to get insurance to go down and fuel to go down, that helps.
So 19 Wheels of Life, good afternoon. To Swift pay by percentage on each load. So the percentage thing is coming in September. Going to try and get Michelle back on the show next week. That's my plan, and we're going to attack that conversation. Hopefully she's got more answers. Don't have any good solid answers on that, and I don't really want to go into it. But
don't want to interject. I don't mean to cut you off, Michelle. Last couple of people that have tried to go on with Swift use Michelle as a hall reference because the banks like to see a person that they can contact. I don't know. Right. I haven't personally spoken to Michelle, but I know when you put them on the application, she must be doing whatever she needs to do when banks talk to her because she says good things and everything. So Michelle's a great point of contact because she's got from what I can tell, she got all the information on hand and it's right there. It's quick. It's done. So
that's why I use Michelle, man.
Shout out to Michelle.
She gets her job done, and again, I'm going to get her on the show again next week. But so the percentage thing, that's coming out. Off the sidetrack a little bit, I had my issue with my truck and the repair and all that. So the repair was there's a tube that's right under the air cleaner, that big black air cleaner, and it's in between the intake, the top of the intake, and the air cleaner. There's a little tube there. That was the problem. They tried to weld the original one. It did work. It was aluminum, obviously. They ordered the new part with labor and the part, and I guess the part was a little bit more expensive than I planned on, but it was like $700 for the repair and the tube.
Well, that's not bad. That's not terrible.
Well, it was literally, I think I got charged maybe 2 or 3 hours of labor, and it's $60 an hour for labor. Just because they had it for so long and just playing around with it, checking the pressure test of the radiator and all that. But the actual charge was $700 for that, and I think they charged me like $90, for the welding, trying to fix it. But overall, it was under $800, and that's just for that repair. That's not including the tow. The tow was $1,100. When it's all said and done, with the lease payment that I paid on the truck for the rental, I did that for 3 weeks. I'm under $4,000 in that whole repair, and again, getting towed almost 90 miles for $1,100. To me, that wasn't that bad of a deal. So all that's paid off now. Everything's I'm past that. Now I'm dealing with tires. Is what I'm dealing with. So, welcome back, Cheesecake, Tennessee. Oh, he was guessing Tennessee. Nope. In Sweat and Fake Chalk, and he got it right because he watched the show, I'm sure. I don't think anybody would have ever guessed that it was Wyoming.
Talk about requirement
to get a truck, please. So he wants to talk about a requirement to get a truck.
You talk, and if that's for me, So the biggest thing that for me in general, you don't need the list of requirements are long. So a lot of that is dependent upon credit. A lot of that is just dependent upon what the bank needs. So the requirements, just in general, if you want to do it under your business name, like if you have a business name, you got to have a business that's active. Number two, you have to have, like James has been saying, the down payment. You want to have that. Make sure you have that available. And then, as long as you've got a decent insurance carrier, you're going to be, generally speaking, in good shape. The requirements from the bank, it's going to vary from bank to bank, and it's also going to depend upon your credit situation. So if we're using banks that usually have higher interest rates because you've got a lower credit score, they may want to see things like bank statements. They may want to see things like work permits, aka green cards or permanent resident, or same, similar situation. They want to see a copy of your CDL, obviously. That's obviously just for ID, and then also they want to make sure you have a CDL. And this is just general stuff, right? So it's going to vary from bank to bank, but what it's going to kind of boil down to, if you're going to a bank where they may need stipulations, the stips, bank statements, most recent 3 months bank statements. That's what a bank will always ask for. Number one. Number two, they're going to look, like I said, your CDL. They're going to look at your, they want to look at probably your articles of incorporation if you're doing it under your business name. They're probably going to want to look at your SS4, that letter if you open up a business name. They probably want a copy of that depending on the bank. Some banks will ask for tax returns, not all of them. So you want to make sure that you at least have some sort of semblance on that or have it ready, should they ask for it. I'm trying to think what else.
What about time on the job? They're going to want to know all that too, right?
Well, time on job, but a whole source. That's why
Okay.
Michelle is so valuable, is because
Right.
she knows exactly has known exactly what the bank has needed and given it to them. So if you don't have a contact with your carrier, it's going to be a little, and all a whole contact is basically like on a job interview. They're asking for, do you have any references? It's very similar to a reference, because the bank is going to sit there and go, yes, hi Michelle, yes, hi James. Do you employ so and so, Mr. Customer? And you say yes. Does he pull for you? Yes. How long has he been pulling for you? 38 years, whatever. And they're going to sit there and they're going to go, okay, does he do everything what he's supposed to do with it? Yes. You want to have somebody on the application that says, give you a glowing review. Same thing as a job reference. Same deal. But as far as generally speaking goes, aside from the banks, CDL, definitely some down payment money, good insurance, and a business name established, it's in good standing. We don't do at least with us, we don't do minimum credit scores. We don't do, some of the other stuff that banks kind of ask for. It's just, we take your information, we try and get you the best approval we can get. So,
yeah.
Long story
I
short.
got to tell you the truth, and I didn't know that. Michelle, you talked to Michelle and all that, but
I have not talked to Michelle. But I just know from having her as the reference, she's obviously given the bank everything that she needs. So.
Well, what I was going to say is we've kind of streamlined this process, honestly, in a roundabout way, for at least for the guys going to Swift. It's actually really worked out.
Yeah. To get the reference from Swift is pretty easy.
P.U. Patel, do you have any international LTs with the Cummins engine? He
Yes,
does.
I do.
So
yes,
let me tell you, P.U. Patel, I was the exact same way because of the SFI truck. I absolutely had to have the Cummins engine. Don't be scared to go with the A26. I'm telling you, the A26, in my opinion, now having it for actually, I just paid the 6th payment on this truck. So almost 7 months of having this truck, A26 outperforms that Cummins motor. The only thing that is a little bit, on the down is the fuel mileage. I think the fuel mileage on the Cummins was just a tad bit better. But again, this truck is 6 years old now. That truck was brand new. that has a lot to do with it too. And again, when I say fuel mileage was a little better, I'm talking a half a mile to the gallon, if that. The A26, it's not going to win a drag race compared to the Cummins, I'll tell you that, but it will outpull the Cummins with no problem. When you got 45,000 pounds behind you, the A26 pulls a lot better than the Cummins does, even being a 13-liter. And I can tell you that, and I'm pretty sure Dee can tell you that, and anybody else that's bought one too.
Really, the only issue that with the A26 that came out, it was a parts defect. It was the big one, but it was resolved. We were able to get on top of that quickly. And other than that, once they came out with that fix, the dealership across the street, they don't see the A26s except when you come in for maintenance. You got a little headache stuff here and there, but that's just the pain of owning your own truck. But as far as like major issues, no. The fuel mileage is the biggest thing. Again, James can attest to this. And some of these day cabs that people are pulling with, they're getting fully loaded on these day cabs with bulk products. They're getting 8-9 miles a gallon fully loaded. It's like, holy cow.
That's what I'm getting. I'm getting 8.5 hauling 45,000 pounds. That's still pretty daggone good.
Yeah, and you're gonna see the fuel mileage, and with the less amount you have to spend per week, and it's going to go back in your pocket. You're going to see that you're going to, I'm not spending as much on fuel. Really, you are going to see. So if you're hauling something, when you the 13-liter versus the 15-liter displacement, you're never going to get around displacement. The 15-liter, yes, will have a little bit more oomph behind it because it's a 15-liter compared to a 13-liter. There's going to be that. If you're hauling something really, 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 really heavy, like doing specialized like flatbed loads, a Cummins might be more beneficial only because it's a 15-liter versus 13.
Right.
But if you're doing general freight with Swift or anybody, that's 13 liters all you need. It's everything. It's all that you need. Unless you're going up a bunch of hills, maybe a 15-liter would probably work. But you can get an A26 with a 12-speed transmission and still accomplish the same thing.
So Technical made a comment in here. This is James Harris, by the way. You can easily buy a truck from Austin when you make twice as much as the truck payment and insurance per week here at Swift. Sometimes it's even 3 times the amount, depending.
Beautifully said. You have a monthly payment that's easier. You have a monthly payment that's easier to manage than you would be a weekly payment, because all of a sudden your weekly payment that goes away, and you divide your monthly payment by 4. So now all of a sudden you've got this, per week, everything shakes out to be a lot less. So then all of a sudden now all this money that you were putting towards your weekly truck payment goes away, and so now it's a lot easier. Your high weekly payment,
So welcome back home. Cheesecake says Trucker Todd is live complaining about everything under the sun. Trucker Todd is having a lot of bad luck, and guys, don't think that it can't happen to you. I mean, he's just run in, and again, I don't talk to Trucker Todd anymore. We've had our little differences, and it's all good. I'm not starting any drama or anything, but he has run into a lot of bad luck, and honestly, I've run into a lot of bad luck in the last 3 weeks too. But again, it can happen to any of us. Lucky for me, I had the backing. I think I came to Swift at the right time, because these are little things that have happened. And again, the truck's got a little bit of miles on it. Things are going to happen. Trucks are going to break. But I'm still better off than leasing a truck from Swift or any other company, even with the bills that I've had to pay and replace the tires and stuff. I'm still much better off. I mean, my payment is nothing.
You got into that the payment wise. I mean, it was a no brainer because it made it so.
I remember calling you and I told you, I said, look, I have $5,000. I said, anything over $5,000, it's going to be tough for me to do anything. And you called me back the next day, says, well, I got you approved, but you need 85. I'm like, oh man, give me a day. Let me think about it.
And I fought, because here's the thing.
I know you did.
So when he came back, your approval was at 11 something. And I'm like, so I'm sitting here going, okay, well, and here's the thing that played into James's favor 100%. So this is why the bank looks at like 5 or 6 different things. So his payment's sitting there at like 11.2 or something like that, and I'm like, okay, shit. So he told me like 5,500 something like that. So I'm like, okay. I'm sitting there and I'm going back to the bank, and I told my finance rep, I go, I can probably stretch him for maybe another 2-ish, maybe.
That's what I did too all the time, man.
Just because I'm like, but I go, here's the thing, and the bank sometimes probably won't. They're gonna be like, nope. So I'm like, if there's any kind of magic that he can work, that that the bank can work, because my finance rep works directly with the bank reps. In this particular bank, I go, if there's any kind of thing we can make shake. So he got the payment down from 11.2 to like 8,500, and I go, okay, it's probably an easier conversation. But the reason that the bank was able to do that was because the bank looked at your application as a whole and said, okay, yes, there may have been some challenges with his credit, but he's been driving for close to 20 years. He's got a decent down payment for the truck already, and he's got a really good load source. Okay, well, all of those things, you got your bad credit, it's like a scale. You got your bad credit situation over here going like this. Well, you put those three things on the scale, it kind of evens it out a little bit. So they weren't able to come down to $5,500, but they're able to shave a little bit off to where it was kind of like, okay, maybe this is a little bit more feasible. So all of these, there's a reason the bank looks at 5-6 different things as your application, not just your credit score. So, and I can usually go to bat with my finance director or my finance rep, and she can go to bat for you. Well, for me, for you, I just got to have all of the information and make sure it's accurate as possible.
So it's funny because every other place like Lone Mountain and all these other companies, they all turn me down. And what I don't tell a lot of people is I have a very high mortgage payment, very high. Now I know it didn't. I lost you there for a second. Your camera went away or something, Austin. But my mortgage showed up on some of the things, and with you, I don't think it did. And that's one of the reasons why it happened. Did I lose you? There you are. Can you hear me?
Mm-mm.
There you are.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good deal. But when
I don't think your mortgage, I don't know if your mortgage did show up or not. I don't know.
It didn't. I can promise you it did, because the mortgage isn't in my name, but I'm the one that pays the bill. So it might have hurt me telling them, hey, I pay this much money on a mortgage. It might have hurt me. I know sometimes it hurts people because of debt to income. And that was the problem that I was having, was the debt to income more than anything. But anyway, Justin, how is your Swift job? My Swift job is fabulous. I've had breakdowns. I've had tire replacements. I'm replacing all the tires on this truck one by one by blowout, but that wasn't my original plan. My original plan was to replace one by one each week. By the way, $850 for a Goodyear tire. My cost $387 through Swift. It's cheaper than a Chinese tire. It's cheaper than a Chinese tire.
It pays to be a company, a company owner operator, because you get all the benefits of Swift.
That's right.
Especially like you were saying, going to the dealer. You're doing it on behalf of Swift. So yes, they are still going to make you pay for it in a roundabout way, but you're getting Swift's rate instead of walk-in, I'm Joe Schmo's rate, which is good.
Yeah, and even at the Loves, when I had the tire replaced, they said it's going to be $680, and that was with Swift's discount. I'm like, nah, that ain't the price. Price is $385 or $387 or whatever. And they're like, no. Well, I got the bill. It was $387. So, anyways, guys, with that being said, that's the truth, man. There is a reason why I'm here, and that's a good reason too, is because of all the discounts. And there's a way you got to go about. Any of you Swifties that are on here, you need to get stuff replaced. Get in touch with me, and I'll tell you how to do the system, because you want to get that Swift discount. Because if you use your maintenance account and you go into the store to get it, they're going to charge you full price. You've got to go about it a different way. I don't want to talk about it on here, but there is a way to go about it to get their national tire discount and other options. Just let you guys know. Roger Berry, hey now, hope your week is going well. My week turned out kind of shitty last week, but it's going to turn into a good week this week. Well, right. Because that road that I'm on, it should have been delivered yesterday because of the tire blowout, but it is what it is. Speaking of which, here's one of the reasons why I got my truck. My boy, Life on 18 Wheels. What's up, buddy?
Yo, what
Telling
up,
Austin.
man?
I give him kudos, man, because if it wasn't for him, he helped me out financially. And I don't know if he wants me to put this on here or not, but I'm giving him the kudos because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in the situation where I'm at. Thank you, Life on 18. Give me a holler sometime, buddy.
Davi and D, I mean, new attack, I'm not working this.
Mm-hmm.
So D is a prime example of, his credit, and I'm not gonna put him on blast and do details, but his credit wasn't the greatest. He was having some challenges with credit.
Oh, me and him both are the same way. That's the way it is.
He came in. He goes, look, whatever you can try to do. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try. Luckily, he was also with Landstar, and Landstar helped him out a little bit with his down payment, which was really nice. He just needed, some documentation. There are carriers that will do that. Landstar being one of them. I know that. Landstar is pretty, generally speaking, pretty good company to work for. I know people have their issues with them, but they will help out in certain situations like that. But with D, I mean, he told me his payment per month or payment per week was like $1,700, and you get him into a truck that's a good quality truck, and the monthly payment is less than your weekly payment. All of a sudden, it makes it a heck of a lot easier on the driver. Same thing with James, but same thing with Daviel.
So he's not wearing pants. I don't think you're ever wearing pants, Newman. So welcome back. Home Cheesecake made a comment. Truck drivers do not make more than an attorney. I disagree with you. I was a deputy sheriff for years, and I worked in the courthouse. About 80% of your attorneys don't even make $50,000 a year. And again, they're the shitty attorneys. There's more shitty attorneys, and I've had some dealings with some shitty attorneys. There's more shitty attorneys than there are good attorneys, and there's only about 10 to 15% good attorneys, that make more money than us. So that question is true and not true, both. And again, I know firsthand experience because I've seen the shitty attorneys.
It would probably depend on what kind of attorney.
Yeah, exactly. But the shitty attorneys, they're just like the, and again, I'm not trying to talk bad, but it's kind of like the hot dog guys here at the truck stops that we were talking about earlier. They're shit broke and that's all they can do. And trust me, there are a lot of attorneys that are shit broke, that are no good. There's more of those than there are good attorneys. But yeah, I agree with that to a sense. About 15% maybe make more than what we do. So Newman Attack put his numbers up. He's paying $48.63 a month, not including maintenance for him. I don't know. I can't remember if he got a used truck through SFI or if he got a new one. But I know, once again, everybody has their idea. Yeah, but he's got a 24 or 25 truck. I don't remember what year it is. Everybody has their opinion.
That's actually not that bad for a 24.
Yeah, that's all SFI does is 2 to 3 year old trucks at the most. And again, it's about what you want to do for your business. When he came aboard, we were running JB Hunt, and we were running the miles like the guy was talking about earlier that were well over 3,000. You had to run 3,600 miles a week to make a paycheck. And when you're running that kind of mileage, you need to have a truck that's going to be, reliable because you're putting the miles on it. But, his situation is a lot different than a lot of other people. And again, everybody has their way. And again, I've said this from the beginning. There's no wrong way to do this. Whether you have to lease it, whether you go to SFI, you got to get started in the business one way or the other. And just, get in while the getting's good. Right now, the getting's pretty decent because the economy is in a downturn. You can get into a truck pretty decently priced. If it does change in the next few months, shit's going to go up, guys. And I've been talking about this for 6 months. There's no better, if you're going to get into this business and you're going to throw your ring into the fire, there's no better time than just to jump in the water and do it now. I got a guy right now that I've been talking to. He wasn't going to start until like September, October. Well, I got him pushed up to where he's starting in the next couple of weeks. He's already talking to Michelle, getting things together. Now his situation is different. He's gonna lease from Swift, but I think eventually he'll change his mind once he gets in and stuff. But again, I talked to him, man. I said, God, man, there's no sense in waiting. The only thing that he's doing now is he wants to, and I forget where he's at. He wants to give a notice before he leaves. I'm like, why would you give a notice? Well, he's a company driver, just in case he needs to go. I said, all right, I understand. Whatever makes it work for you, but now's the time to get into it. If it does go up, you're going to take a chance. Now's the time to do it.
Newman, shout out to Newman Attack. I know you've been on these a couple of times. I know you're a regular listener. When the time comes and you need a truck, please call me. I will help you. That's a lot. That's a high payment. It's better than most, but I will help you. I am looking forward to helping you because I know you've been on here a while. I know you're hurting. You're not hurting, but it's that payment can sometimes kind of kick your butt. Call me. I will help you.
I talked to him quite a bit. I talk to him at least once or twice a week. He's pretty set on what he has, and I don't try to talk him out of it because everybody has, that works for him. Just like me when I had, and I didn't turn my SFI truck in because I wasn't making it. I was still killing it, guys.
Yeah.
I turned it in because I wanted to make more. When I found out about the deal you had and we had conversations, it was a point that I'm like, this is a deal I can't refuse. It's not really that I wanted the truck, but it was a deal that I couldn't refuse. And still, like I said, even with all the breakdowns and everything that I've had, it's still been a good deal.
Call me
all
the
the way
truck
around.
father. I made you an offer you can't refuse.
That's right.
Truck father. I made you an offer you can't refuse.
That's right, man. That's right. And I'll have equity in this truck too. Any lease operator with a high truck payment has nobody to blame except themselves. Again, it's all about what your idea is and where you're wanting to go. There's no.
It also depends on your situation.
See, there you go. And I got the truck.
Newman, no offense, no offense, brother. Like I said, and like James said, if it works for you, it works for you. I'm just saying, if when the time comes and you want to get your own, like lease your or finance your own truck, let me help you. I got you.
So Newman Attack just texted me. He said he would consider a used truck from the right fleet. I'll put you in contact with Newman.
Yeah,
I'll give him your number tomorrow if he doesn't already have it. But actually, it's down there on the ticker. But I'll talk to him. I don't know what fleet he wants to buy from, but
there's some fleets that are have really good options. There are.
I still think that Pasco fleet is a good fleet, dude. I really do.
So the 2020s, that's what James Smith got. He got a 2021, and that one's been an awesome truck for him just because of it's spec'd very, very well. Jeffrey Wright got his 2022. The 2022 spec, those spec trucks are awesome. You got disc brakes all around, battery APU, 12-speed transmission, 450 horse, inverter, double bunk. They're red or they're blue, so you got to be willing to sit there and drive around a red or blue truck. But the spec wise, it's like, bam, it's perfect.
Welcome back says $4,800 a month truck payment. Yeah.
Everybody
again,
nice.
Yeah, there's
nice.
He's being nice. He's just saying.
No, I know.
Yeah, that's paid for with one load. Are you regarded? I'm not going to get into that. Everybody has their ways of how they're doing. That's paid for one thing. They just did twice.
He did it twice.
Yes, I'm regarded. Come on, guys. You're going back and forth with each other. 85 to 98% of owner-operators fail within 24 months. I'm still going. Obviously, it's not the truck payment. Again, I didn't fail in my – I could have kept doing what I was doing. There was no issues with the payment. And, again, I'm not saying that SFI, they got a great thing going on. They've been selling media trucks. I don't think their percentage is very high of people completing the trucks, but my problem is they're putting people in trucks that have no business being in trucks. That's why their failure rate is so high. They need to vet their people a little bit better. Me, Newman, Poppy, all of us, we all had SFI trucks. We did it. I made serious cash when I was with JB Hunt. Me and Poppy and even Newman, before they changed all their crap, I was bringing home even with that high truck payment, I was bringing home $3,500 a week on occasions. The lowest was, $2,100. I was racking the money in. I was making $2,100 going home for 2 days, and I know Poppy was doing the same thing too on a regular basis.
And Newman, I meant no disrespect at all. like I said, just if you're looking to maybe lessen that payment or anything, if I can do anything to help, absolutely 100% more than one, because I know you're an avid listener and you seem like a pretty cool guy. So that's all.
Newman is using an excuse to justify the Bull of the Woods. What's going on, buddy? Where you at? There you are. Whoops. What's up? Bull of the Woods is a regular visitor too. He's got a pretty decent YouTube channel. Go check him out.
I got you.
Rig Pig, another good one. Thank you, Rabbit. Another good live, I hope is what you're talking about.
Sure
I try to bring in the good lives as much as I can. Noob Attack. Austin, look at my profile. You know who his profile is?
Is it that Cajun dude from Waterboy?
Yep. Yeah, yep, that's it.
Yeah.
With the nipple rings.
The guy that no one can understand.
The nipple rings.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Happy Gilmore yet?
No,
Have
but
you
I
seen?
need to. I've heard.
Watch it, man. It is
pretty good.
Fabulous, man. What was the golfer's? I'm not a big golf guy, but what was the golfer's name that went to jail there in Louisville? You remember that situation? Is that Scotty Scheffler? Yeah.
He didn't
They
even go to jail.
they play on that, man.
He just got detained or booked or something.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
Well, he plays on it, man, and I'm not going to give the story away, but he plays on that really well. Just remember chicken fingers, okay? That's all you got to remember in that.
There you go.
Man.
All right, I got
Freaking awesome, man. He has got a sense of humor, man. He's got a sense of humor. Check that movie out, man. That's very good. Even the wife liked it. She don't like Adam Sandler, but she thought it was funny. With your drop-in hook, is it 24-hour pickup delivery with the same day or appointment time? 99% of the time, yes. You will run into some shippers that might not be 24 hours, but it doesn't happen very often. Usually those drop-in hooks are going to be big places, Target, Walmart. You'll have a 24-hour window. Like you'll pick the load up on a Tuesday. Say it's, 500 miles. You can drive that in a shift with no problem. You drop that the next day. It's a 24-hour drop-in hook. 12:01 to 11:59, as long as you get it there that same day. If you run into issues, you send in a Mac, what they call a Mac 22. That's a running late. No big deal. They can reschedule it for the next day. But 99% of the time, yes, it's 24/7. Like this load that I'm doing now, they don't open until 8 a.m. because it's a live unload. But I got all the way from 8 to 1600 tomorrow. 08 to 1600 tomorrow. Make this delivery, but I'll be there at their doorstep at 8 in the morning because I'm going to be running tonight. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, West. 4 weeks to college football. We are.
Oh God.
Yeah,
go Buckeyes.
He's
Newman,
a Penn
go
State
Buckeyes.
guy.
Newman,
Yeah.
go Buckeyes.
I kind of resort to the Buckeyes because of the family, the wife and the father-in-law. But I'm a University of Louisville guy. That's where I went to school at. Years and years ago when they had schools. They've
been improving in football. Louisville has.
Yeah.
They've been a pretty decent football team in the past couple of years.
Louisville's a basketball school. Kentucky too. That's basketball country. I grew up watching basketball. I'm more of a pro football guy. I like watching college, don't get me wrong, but I'm more of a pro football guy and a college basketball. I love my two favorite times of the year are March Madness and the Super Bowl.
March Madness is usually insane. That's crazy.
I love March Madness. Buddy, when you get it was 64 teams. It's 68 now. But when you get all those colleges in there, and again, I quit watching the NBA years ago because of the laziness. I just don't think they play. But this last year, and I've talked about it before, this last year's with Oklahoma City and Indiana in the finals.
Were playing.
What
they were
great series.
Playing. Yeah.
You know why that was a great series? Because both teams have never been to the finals before. Well, Indiana has, but it's been a long time, and they got young players that are out there to make their name. It was really
playing
good.
playing like they're broke.
Michigan is better. Yeah, that's right. They're putting their name out there, man.
No, they're not.
All right, guys. Anybody got any questions for Austin? I think
Newman.
This has been a pretty decent live.
Newman, next time Penn State beats Michigan, you let me know, because Michigan obviously is better than you too.
I don't know if Michigan, now that Harbaugh's not there, I don't know what kind of team they're going to have. Um,
Well, it
well,
didn't
I
seem to
mean,
make a difference this past season for my Buckeyes.
yeah, that's true. Now that I think about it, that was last year, 2 years ago now.
Although it did kind of give us the spark we needed to win it all. So
Yeah. So he says it's been more than 1,000 days since Ohio beat Michigan.
hey, when was the last time Penn State beat Ohio State? Because that has been 7 years in a row. So how many?
Well, I
How
mean,
many?
who won
365 times 7. What's that?
who won the championship, by the way, last year?
Uh,
I mean, seriously, who won the football championship last year?
Ohio
I'm
State.
asking you, Austin. Huh? Who?
Yeah, Ohio State.
I know. I'm just asking. I was just putting that out there for Newman. uh,
I think hey Newman, it's been 7 years since you beat us. So what's 365 times 7? That's 2,000 days, something like that. So
they were. You know this. They were talking about firing their head coach too the last couple of years until he won last year. To me, that is crazy. I don't know what his win percentage ratio is, but it's way up
it's
there.
over it's over 8,600. Yeah. It's crazy.
I don't think anybody's had that. Has there ever been a coach that had that?
Urban was better at Ohio State. For his career, no, but at Ohio State.
But he wasn't at Ohio State for just 3 or 4 years, was he?
7.
Yeah, that's crazy that they got that kind of win percentage, man. That's just.
But
crazy.
that's you see the kind of emphasis they put on the Michigan game.
Yeah, Oregon was better. They only lost because they played more games than Ohio. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Then if that's the case, then why did they put so much emphasis on winning the Big Ten championship game?
And I'm not partial either one of those teams by any means, other than the wife and the father-in-law. I mean, I just like watching good games. It doesn't, even with Louisville when they play. If it's a good game and Louisville loses, by all means, I love watching good competition. And I don't know if you know this or not, but that new guy Louisville hired for basketball, Pat Kelsey, he's got I forget what it is, but they went from winning 3 games a year with the last coach, and the last coach that they had was only there 2 or 3 years, but his win ratio was horrible. And he went from 3 wins to they play 30 games a year, I believe, and he went to 25 wins, 3 to 25 wins in 1 year. That's how much that team improved. And the last improvement was when they hired Rick Pitino years ago. And the only reason Denny Crum was getting to the age to where he just didn't care. Not that he was a bad coach. They still had a pretty good winning ratio. But when Rick Pitino came in, they had a lot. I don't know if you remember it or not, but they had a lot of guys drop out because Rick Pitino was all about fast break. And he worked those guys. He put them on treadmills. He put them in a regiment with eating. A lot of the guys lost 30, 40, 50 pounds. One of the guys lost 50 pounds just because of the regiment. And they haven't seen anything like that since Rick Pitino. And this new guy, Pat Kelsey, he's doing the same thing that Pitino did. Exactly.
Which is good.
Thing. Yeah, because basketball, I mean, it's a different sport than football. You got to be thin. You got to be in shape. The conferences fought to keep their championship games relevant in playoffs. And I don't like what these West Coast teams did and went to the Big Ten. I don't like that.
It's goofy.
I don't understand it. I don't like it. And I know the Pac-10 was a shit conference to begin with. They had a lot of corruption in that conference from what. And again, this is only what I've read. I don't know anything about it for sure, but
they couldn't play defense.
Yeah, I just I never understood that. The Big
Oregon
Ten. They're not the Big Ten anymore. How many do they have now? The Big Ten? What, 20-something teams?
No, they were the Big Ten, but there were 11 teams, and they added UCLA, Oregon, Washington,
USC. Are they in there too?
Yeah. So now there's 15 teams, something like that.
Big 15.
So, or the crazy thing was you always saw people on teams on the West Coast, like on the college side. So everybody could score. So that was never the problem. Washington State, Cal back in the day, Oregon could score. Everybody could score. But the problem you had was they played a lot of undisciplined defense over there. So even in the national championship game when Ohio State played Oregon, everybody's like, "Ooh, well, Oregon's got speed. Oregon's got this." Da 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 da. They had never seen a disciplined, hard-nosed Big Ten defense that's comparable to, like the SEC or the 10 plays defense. So originally they would come over to the conference and get worked. Now Oregon's kind of solidified themselves on defense, although it didn't stop Ohio State from putting 38 points on them. But I'll beat my chest to that one because everybody thought we were going to get waxed. You see them having to stiffen up on defense because if you're not, you're going to get left behind. So, and Oregon definitely did that. They had a lot better defense, but not when it counted, I guess.
So Newton's got a good arrangement there. He says he's excited personally. He's going to fly to Washington next year and watch an away game with his kids that live there. So he takes loads out to Washington to visit his kids. Like I said, so he's pretty lucky.
Right on. Yeah, that is a cool setup. That's a cool setup.
Yeah. Well, anybody got any questions? We're kind of caught up.
I'm here to answer any questions anybody have. Any help I can be.
Speaking of which, anybody that's on the live, does anybody have any request of anybody they want to bring on? I don't care if it's another YouTuber or if it's a company. Any request. I try to bring on the people that I deal with the businesses and stuff as much as I can. But any request, I'll reach out to anybody. I've reached out to the Go Green APU guys a couple of times, but I've not had any success with getting any contact with them. But again, it's just free advertisement for these guys. But I personally don't have a Go Green APU, and I guess that's probably a good thing because the people that I do bring on is people that I've had experience with. Any request, I'll try to do my best to bring whoever on. By the way, thanks everybody for subscribing. My subscriber, I should be close to 1,800. Hopefully, by the end of not the end of the month this month, but maybe next month. I mean, tomorrow's August 1st. Wow, where's this year gone, man? But I've gained like 200 subscribers in the last month and a half. Somehow, 200 to 300.
Yeah.
The channel's growing. I think the content is getting better. I had some occurrences with some trolls and stuff, but they're kind of backing down a little bit. So here we go. Travis Jones. Now is not a good time to buy a truck. Well, I don't know, man. I disagree. We can agree to disagree. Maybe, maybe not. I guess we'll find out.
Depending on the industry that you're in.
Yep.
It's dependent upon the situation.
Yep. If you want to buy a truck and bring it to Swift, I think it's a good idea because our freight, I've had zero issues with freight. My issues with Swift has always been the planners removing loads. It's happened a couple of times since I've been here. I've tried to correct the situation as much as possible. I went all the way up the ladder as far as I can with it. But unfortunately, it's just one of those situations. It's kind of a single occurrence where the planners are doing what they do. They're usually under the age of 30. They're not the older people. The older people don't really do crap like that. And I went to my bosses and told them about the situation. Was promised that the situation would be corrected. In the last 3 weeks since that's happened, it hasn't happened again. Now, whether or not the situation was corrected or not, I don't know. But I don't have a problem getting loads here. I've got a load that's on backup. When I drop this in the morning, I got a load that I'm immediately going to pick up tomorrow. I don't have that issue. And again, it just depends, like you said, what company are you working for? I got $17.50 for 400 miles yesterday. Seems good to me. That is not bad. I'm not trashing the spot market. It's just not for me. Just like your situation with the truck, Newman. I chose to do this because I don't want to run as hard as used to. And I I know you're not running hard because you're taking more of the dollar amount than doing the complete opposite of what you did to JB Hunt, like I did too.
The thing too is that I forgot what I was going to say. When you're in the spot market, like James was saying, even when he was at Schneider, he's been doing it for 20-ish years, almost 20 years. You know what loads are good and what loads aren't. Newman, I would probably make the same assessment of you. You know where to find a good load, what's a good load, consistently, which is good. That's what you want if you're doing the spot market. That's ideal.
I could go back to the spot market tomorrow and work with one of these companies and do very well at it. I don't like dealing with the brokers. That was just like the planners here. I don't like dealing with the brokers. The only way that I would go back to the spot market, well, I can't even say that. I don't think, to me, in my opinion, with the research that I've done, I just don't think it's smart to run on your own authority. I think it takes a lot of the liability off. I like running under somebody's authority. To me, it's a better situation. There's a lot of other things that you're required to do when you run your own authority. I just think paying somebody the 20 to 25% is a better option. Just my opinion, but just not ready to go back to spot market. Spot market is not for everyone. You have to remember details for every lane all the time. Yep, 100%. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Just like over here, you got to know where to run. I tell guys that call me all the time. They'll call me, hey, can I run, New York to LA or whatever, back and forth. Nah, it's not really going to happen. Can you do it? Yeah, you could probably do it. But what's going to happen is you're going to take that load, you're going to get stuck in California, and then you're going to have to piece your way back, and you're not going to be able to do it on a regular basis. I don't go west of I-35, and I tell people, just imagine Pennsylvania, Chicago area. I will go to Wisconsin, Minnesota, like I'm doing tomorrow, but that's it. Down to Texas and back over to Jacksonville, Florida, and back up to Pennsylvania. That box is where I stay in, and I try to tell all of the guys, at least the ones that live in that area, stay on this side of the country. Now, if you live out in Vegas or something like that, running out west is, fine, go do it. And that's kind of how Swift does it. They keep the West Coast freight for the West Coast guys and East Coast freight for the East Coast guys. He's been to Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Vermont since Monday night. Yeah, I know you do a lot of that. And again, you're one of those
East Coast type stuff.
That Northeast stuff. A lot of people, that's why you do so well, Newman, because you're doing the shit that nobody wants to do. You're comfortable with it up there because you live in Pennsylvania.
That is good. That is a good thing.
Yeah, you live in Pennsylvania. You run that area. Can I run that area? Sure, I can run that area, but I don't like it. It would take me a while to get accustomed to it, but I could make it up there. But I don't like running up there. I don't mind running northern New York, Syracuse, Buffalo, but that's about as far north as I go. That's too close to Canada anyways. My buddy was a guy I sold cars with. He was from Buffalo. And can you hear me?
I can see you. I can't hear you.
Okay. How about now? Something on your end. Can everybody hear me okay? Anybody?
I'm back.
Who's the issue?
Maybe.
Can you hear me? Take yourself out and come back in. See if that helps. How about now? Now? Newman, who do you hear? You hear both of us or just me or him? Anybody? Anybody? So I'm out. So is that a yes? You hear me then, I guess. So it's on your end. All right, guys. Sorry for the little technical thing. I don't even know what I was talking about. Anybody remember what I was talking about? My memory is shot. Anybody that cares and trying to do any weight loss, I'm still losing weight. You can see it in my neck and face. Losing weight. I'm down to. Last time I checked, I was down to like 230. I haven't been that weight since I was in high school.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
How about now?
Still can't hear.
It's on your end, brother.
Can't hear.
So it's Austin. It's on your end. Okay. Anyway, guys, if y'all have any comments, post them up. Any requests of who you want on, let me know. Anything. We're at an hour 30. We'll post any comments and see if Austin can come back in. I think it's been a pretty good show tonight. Anybody got any questions about Swift? International? Anything? You know, Sydney Sweeney. Let's talk about that for a minute. That's a bullshit thing that's going on with her. Not a big fan. Neither way, it's not that I don't like her. It's not that I do like her, but she does nothing for me. I don't know where everybody thinks that she's, the end all be all. She's a kid. I mean, she's only 21, 22. I don't know how old she is, but she I don't know. I don't care for her acting, nor do I really watch a lot of stuff with her in it. To me, she's not. She's just another young actor that.
I'm back, maybe.
How about now?
I'm back. I'm back.
Can you hear me?
That was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. I can hear you.
Okay.
I can see you. I can hear you. I don't know what the heck was going on. My iPad had a stroke. I don't know what the heck was going on. That's a little bit of a.
The comments are Sydney Sweeney. She seems fake to me. I don't. You know what? I kind of get that feeling too. That she does seem fake to me too. She does absolutely nothing for me. Does she? You? I mean, do you think she's good looking?
I think that I love my fiance very much.
Yeah, I got you. She's in the background. But I agree, man. Me and my wife have been together so long, and it's funny. We just did we were just talking about this morning. 17 years that I've been married to my wife, and the last 4 or 5, I haven't really been home that much. And but where's 17 years gone? We've been together over 20, and actually about 21 years. I don't know where the time has gone.
That's crazy.
So she's good looking, still fake. She does nothing for me. I mean, honestly, nothing. I just I don't know, man. I become an old man, and the older women is what was more attractive to me than the younger women.
What's the song say? Older women make beautiful lovers. What's that country song?
I don't know, man, but that's the truth. There's no lying to that.
Yeah. I'm freshly minted with a fiance too, as of last Saturday.
Congratulations!
No, not this past Saturday, the 20th.
Right. So. Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
So, let me tell you something, dude. I say these kids, and I'm going, under 30. I don't know. How old are you, by the way?
I just turned 30.
Okay. So I don't envy you guys at all, because the shopping market for dating sucks. I don't know how you all do it anymore, or how you meet. And these, TikTokers and influencers and shit, they post this shit online all the time. There's really nowhere to go to meet good people anymore. And,
She and I met on Bumble.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I met my second wife on an app like that, but
No.
not my third one. My one I'm on now, man, like I said, we've been together over 21 years.
That's crazy.
First two last, but I met her on the job. She was a police officer too. That's how we met, man. And the chief and everybody in the department, tried to hook us up. Said, why don't you and Nicole hook up? Why don't you and Nicole? And the whole time while they were telling us all this shit, we'd already been dating almost 6 months. we kind of kept it a secret. And, we didn't tell anybody for a long time, and then we've been going strong ever since. They told us that it won't last. Everybody always told us, you're not going to last. It ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. But guess what? Here we are 21 years later. It's worked just fine.
That's kind of screwed up.
Well, I don't know why people said that, but we were just talking. We could possibly make it to 50 years even, which would really be great.
My grandparents were coming up on 66 years.
How long?
66 years.
Wow. So Newman says he's out going to play Xbox while being loaded. Well, have a good night, Newman. Give me a ring tomorrow, man.
See you, Newman.
I'll give you all. He's a good guy. He's a really good guy.
He seems like it.
I've never met him in person, but we've talked. We've talked on the phone just about once or twice, maybe 3 times a week for the last year and a half. Ever since I got him with the SF5 truck. Well, about a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
He got in right after me and Poppy did. We brought him aboard, and he's a good dude, man. Good dude.
He seems like it.
All right, guys, any questions? We're down to 12 people on the live. We've been rolling for an hour 37. I'm sure that Austin could go spend some time with his fiance. I try to bring some questions in for you guys. Anybody got anything? If not, we're going to go ahead and cut it because I'm going to be driving here in about 30 minutes. I'm the night stalker. I like running nights, man.
There you go.
Tell your fiance hi.
I will. I definitely will. I appreciate it. I'm
going to try and again, I try to, there's a couple things when I bring people, when I vet people about Swift, I go through the good, the bad, and the ugly. I give them all the details. I try to bring you in first as the first option. And then once I get that first option, whether they do or they don't, then they decide to go to the lease option. Then I bring the insurance up. Hey, you want to get this insurance. Then I bring up the ES Advantage card. And, everybody that I brought in, and I'm pretty confident that, the people that have went the way that I've told them, I've had 3 guys that didn't buy trucks, but they leased trucks. They agreed. They said, yeah, that's a good idea. I need to get that insurance. I need to get that fuel card. You guys need to get your own truck too. That's the big thing that I'm trying to get all you guys to do. I'm telling you, I was right about the other shit. Y'all need to take what I'm telling you here and get your own truck. Give Austin a call. His number's on the screen. I don't care what anybody says. My opinion, and again, it's my opinion. It depends on your situation. Now's the time to buy a truck. If you don't have the options to buy a truck, go lease one. Prices are going to go up. They're going to go up. Swift did that 2 years ago when the market went crazy. It went crazy. Well, the prices went up, and unfortunately, I was a part of that before I started, buying trucks, and it sucked. But it is what it is. So my phone number's on the screen. Any of you guys got questions about Swift or any of the other, people that I bring on here, by all means, reach out to me. I'll help you guys out. Even if you don't work for Swift, you want information for a truck or you want information, insurance, fuel card, any of that stuff, call me. I'm going to try and get a video out.
I tell people too, when I got customers coming in, I said, if you're doing your own thing, check out your YouTube channel because you got a lot of good information because you've been doing it for so long. So
please do. Did your company ever do anything with that video?
We've told them that they're available for us to use. Our marketing department, I'm sure, they've been talking about a revamp of the website for a while. So I know that's one of the things in the talks to do. I think they just got to get everything kind of put together to do it. So
see, what they need to do is when we do lives, they need to find a way to broadcast a live on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Is what they do. And they got total permission for me to do it. I don't. They can use whatever they want to. any of the properties that goes on here, they can use whatever they want to. And ES Advantage, asked the same question. I said, use whatever you need to. I'm going to try and get SeBrite on here. That's my next project. I want to get them guys on here because good insurance company. You know that.
And they give you a sweet deal. They give you a sweet deal if you're going to go on to Swift too. So.
Right. Yep. And
James
I know
Harris
you
can tell you more about that.
Yeah. You probably used them a couple times too to get guys involved, haven't you?
People have used SeBrite to get So.
Do you have Sandy's information to get a hold of her? In case you run into it?
No, but text it to me just so I have it.
Yeah, I'm going to text it to you here before I get off. I'm going to send you her information because there's always that. I don't know what time you close, but we closed at 8:00. There was always that 8:00 customer that came in that couldn't get a hold of somebody for insurance. Guess what? Sandy will write an insurance policy, and I think that they'll answer their phones pretty much 24/7 from what I understand.
Yeah.
They'll write you a policy, a 10-day policy, 20-day policy, whatever you need to get done. Because there was lots of situations, and I had a Geico person that I could call 24/7 and get insurance. So remember that, guys. But, I guess we'll cut out of here, Austin. You have a good night. I'll text you
too,
Sandy's info. You need anything, you give me a holler. Same thing, guys. Anybody has questions, call me.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right. Have a good night, Austin. I'll talk to you, buddy.
You too, man. We'll see you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. This concludes for the live tonight. Anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to call me. It's been a great live. I think my lives are getting better and better each time. No issues, no problems. Losing my voice as always. Once again, I'm driving all night tonight. If anybody wants to call, has questions, they can call me tonight. After about 10 o'clock, I'll be rolling. If not, you can call me tomorrow. Anyway, guys, y'all have a great night, and we'll talk later. Thank you, guys.